Hi guys.
Hi.
Sorry, disconnected. Yeah. Okay, let me share my screen again. So everyone is there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we are seeing about this client and server flow, right? So actually we will trigger the request through the browser. Okay. So browser only will give the request to the server and server will provide the response to the client. Okay. You got it, guys? So how this transaction will happen? The request is triggering to the server and we are getting the response from the server. This flow is getting transmitted between the client and the server, right? So how it has been happening is by using a protocol. Okay, there is a protocol between the client and server. That protocol is nothing but your HTTP or HTTPS. You got it, guys? So that is why we are using http www.gmail.com or https www.gmail.com, something like that. You got it? So this has been this transmission between the request from the client and the response from the server is happening between the protocol, which is nothing. So in our web application, any transmission will happen only through the protocol. In our case, it is going to be a HTTP or HTTPS. You got it, guys? You got it? This generic logic now?
Yes.
Yes. Now who is client?
Yes.
Who is client now?
Browser.
Very good. Your client is going to be a browser. Who is going to the server? The Gmail server. So wherever the target
Gmail.
point, yeah. So wherever the target point where our request is going to hit, it is going to be a server. You got it? This is a client and server logic. Okay. Now, where we can use a Java is to perform a server-side validation. Where we can use a JavaScript is to perform a client-side validation. See, in real-time automation, you need to validate both server-side validation as well as client-side validation. For example, let me say what are the client-side validation. Okay, see, if you enter username and if you enter the password and if you click the login, then only the request will go to the server. Correct? Then only your browser will transmit the request to your server. Correct? In case sometimes if you not even enter the username or password, then if you click the login, will the request go to the server? No. Browser itself say please enter username or password to send the request. You got agree? So that there itself browser restrict your request and it will ask you to first enter the credential, then hit the login. Then only it will take your request to the server. You got it? So these are nothing but a client-side validation. Client itself will ask you to perform some validation. Like if you're not entering the username and password, if you try to do a login, so we need to verify whether it's showing please enter username or password or not. You got it? So these are nothing but a client-side validation. So if the client side requirement itself is not filled, it means if you are not entering any username and password and if you are triggering the login button, then browser will not send the request to the server. Instead, it will allow user first, it will instruct the user first enter the username, then only it will allow to do the login. You got it, guys? Because your browser will not allow it will not create the request to the server all the time. Okay, when it has the proper parameters, input parameters, then only it will trigger the request. If the input parameters are empty, it means if you are not providing the username and password, then if you try to click on the login, then it will not allow, it will not generate the request. Instead, it will ask user to enter the username or password first. So this kind of validation can be performed with the JavaScript. Okay, once if you hit the server, okay, once the request is created and the request hit the server, then whether it's showing the proper inbox page or not, then this kind of validation can be performed through Java. So after hitting the server, that is what I said, Java is to perform a server side validation. Okay, so once it hit the server, then whatever the validation happens after hitting the server, like if I log into the application, whether I could able to select inbox or not, whether I could able to select sent or not, sent box or not. So this kind of validation can be performed through Java. But there are some kind of client-side validation. Please enter username, please enter password at the browser level itself. These validations can be performed through client. Since we need to validate both server side and client, we are also using JavaScript here. You got it, guys? Why we are going for JavaScript now? Clearly, I have explained the complete thing now for Java and JavaScript. Any doubts so far, guys? No.
Clear, Babuji.
Okay. Everybody? See, I'm asking, why I'm asking everybody is, I want everyone to get this knowledge.
Babu, one query. You said that JavaScript is for server-side validation, right? And
No,
Java for
no. Java is for server side, JavaScript is for client side.
Client side, yeah.
servers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so whatever the validation you need to perform on the browser, that is a client, right? You should use a JavaScript. Whatever the validation that you need to perform based on the server, there you should use a Java. Okay. So that is what I mentioned as Java and JavaScript. Okay. Then the next technology which I'm going to show is JUnit and TestNG. Okay. See why I'm saying both the component, because both the components we are using for the same functionality. TestNG is little bit advanced than JUnit. What is JUnit means? See, again you are going to get more information here. Okay, JUnit and TestNG is nothing but unit testing tool for Java. Okay, let me put like this way. Okay, let's say Ishwar, okay, is learning Java. Okay, also Pooja is learning Java. Okay, why Ishwar is learning Java is he is going to be a Java developer. Okay, for that Ishwar is learning Java. Okay, why Pooja is learning Java is she is not going to be a developer, but she is going to be an automation tester. Okay, for that automation testing, for because she is going to use this Java for testing purpose, which is automation testing. For that she is learning Java. Okay, both are learning Java. Okay, both Ishwar and for both Pooja, the Java program is going to be same. Okay, Java program is going to be same. Whatever the Java program Ishwar is studying, the same Pooja also is going to study. You got it? But Ishwar is going to use the Java program for what? For development purpose. Pooja is going to use the Java program for testing purpose. Correct?
Testing. Yeah.
Agree? Okay. So the difference between both of them is, okay, Ishwar will develop a Java program in one template and Pooja will develop a Java program in another template. Both will not use the same template. Okay, Ishwar will use a development template for developing the Java program. Pooja will use the testing template to test the Java program. It means in Java itself we have two type of template. One is a development template, another one is a testing template. Okay, the people who is going to be a developer, they can develop a Java program with the development template. The people who is going to use Java for a testing purpose, they can use a testing template. Okay, that testing template is nothing but JUnit and TestNG. You got it, guys? Now that testing template, so where we are going to use a Java program within JUnit and TestNG, because these are nothing but a testing template to test a Java program. You got it? Why we are going to use this testing template means, if you use the testing template, then you could able to get all the components relevant to the testing. Whatever the components that you need to, that is relevant for a testing, like generating the reports, verification and validation, writing the script test case based on the test cases or test scenario. So those kind of activity we could able to get through a JUnit and TestNG, because these are nothing but a testing components. Okay, where we can get the relevant testing components in the JUnit and TestNG platform. So once we learn Java, then we use a testing template to automate our test cases. You got it, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So both JUnit and TestNG being used for the same purpose, but TestNG is little bit advanced compared to JUnit. Okay, so let's say because JUnit will provide some report, TestNG also will provide some report. Okay, after the execution of our test cases, both will generate a report. But guys, can you put in mute, please? Okay, so like both are testing template, but we can say TestNG is the advanced concept of JUnit. Okay, like because like like if say JUnit after executing all our test cases, it will provide some report. Okay, TestNG also will provide a report, but TestNG will provide a presentable report comparing to JUnit. Presentable report means like we can say two examples. Okay, the girl with makeup, the girl without makeup. Ishwar, who will you see? You see whether the girl with the makeup or without makeup.
With makeup, Babuji.
So that is the test engine report. You got it? Don't say both. Okay, so again, after to test engine also, we have a latest concept called Cucumber. That is advanced testing template. Okay, that we are going to see in the post Selenium. Okay, so the hierarchy of unit testing template tools is initially we have got JUnit, then we have got test engine. Now recently we have got Cucumber. Okay, you got it, guys. So you need to do automation by using either of the three templates only. Either you should use a JUnit, you are going to use a Java program only, but the template you are going to choose, it can be a JUnit or it can be a TestNG or it can be a Cucumber. Got it? The Cucumber is the latest one. You got it, guys?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Any doubts so far with these technologies?
No.
Okay. Then locators. Any idea on this locator?
Yeah. Yeah, locators are used to find the web element on a web page.
Correct. So again, let me consider this test case. Okay. If I execute this test case, what I have done is I have created a method, open Chrome, navigate to gmail.com, type Ishwar as a data, type password as a data, click login. Okay. But if I execute this test case, it will open the Chrome, it will navigate to gmail.com. But on coming to the type command, your automation tool, it's not only for Selenium, whatever the automation tool you are using, okay, okay, whatever the automation tool that you are using, it will ask, okay, I am giving the type command, I am providing the data also, but it will ask where I need to perform this activity. You set as a type. Okay, in the Gmail page there are a lot of text boxes available, in which text box I need to perform this action. So what you need to do is you need to provide, there will be an address maintained for each and every web object. You need to capture that address of the particular web object and you need to pass as an input here. Let's say here I need to pass ID equal to 001. Okay, ID equal to 002. Okay, so each and every activity required an address of a particular web object. So to identify that that address, okay, each and every web object will have a HTML address. Okay, so first what you need to do is before triggering any commands, first you should know where you are going to trigger that command. So first you should identify the address of the particular web object, then you should provide that address as an input to your automation tool. So your automation tool will identify the particular web object based on the address you are providing, then it will perform that activity. So identifying the address is nothing but a locators. You got it, guys? So that is the locator concept. So you should know how to identify the address of the particular web object, which will get covered in the locators. Got it? Any doubts
Yeah.
here?
No.
Good. I'm getting response from only few. What about others? I want everyone to understand all the concept. That is the reason I'm saying from very basic, right? I'm giving all the examples where you can able to easily understand. Any doubts for anyone?
No, no.
No
No.
need to worry. Even it's a very simple questions or it's a very basic question. No need to think anything. You can put the question up front, okay? Because you are the one who's going to learn. Okay. The next one, HTML. Again, it is not a new technology, correct? We are studying this from our first standard, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
So studying from first standard, Pooja?
No, first standard not, but in BTech I study HTML pages.
Very good. But at least in the schooling days, we are aware about this tool, correct? What is HTML?
Hypertext markup language. That's only I know. Hello.
Okay. Hello. Yes, yes.
We use this
Yeah, that.
HTML to display the text up on the web page.
It's a combination of web pages consisting of web elements and whatever contents. It is like that.
Correct. Correct. See, as you say, okay, it is a markup language. It means we can develop the design the script based on the tags in HTML because HTML consists of more inbuilt
Tag.
tags. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you want to develop any web objects in the web application, then you can use any of these tag. Okay, with respect to the particular web element, then you can create one HTML page. Okay, wow. Since your Selenium is going to interact with a web application, okay, web application is going to be completely developed by using HTML tags only, right? So you should also aware about what is HTML. Got it? So only then you could able to you could able to understand the HTML part of each and every web object to provide the input for your automation too. So that case only we are going for a, even though you know about HTML, but still I will cover as part of my syllabus. Got it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Then okay. Then XML. What is the difference between HTML and XML? Guys, at least you could able to know aware about what is this kind of technologies, right?
XML is an extensible markup languages that is processable in JSON and means it is basically used for SOAP UI. In that SOAP UI, XML reports come and we use validation perspective. But why we are using XML in automation testing? It is a part of I think performance testing.
No,
Means as per
no,
my
no,
knowledge,
no, 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 no.
means
Okay,
web
fine, fine.
services in web service. Yeah.
Yeah. Since you have worked on the web service, you are thinking that XML is a part of SOAP UI or something, correct? Fine. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can able to form a SOAP UI request through XML or a JSON file. That is fine. But you should not think XML is only for that. Okay. Again, as I said, okay, XML is also a markup language. We can able to design the coding by using a tags here as well. In HTML also, we can able to design the code by using a tag. In XML also, we can design a code by using a tags. Okay, XML is an advanced version of HTML. The difference is in HTML, we could able to see only the predefined tags. For example, in HTML, let's say I have this if I want to design a paragraph, then I should use a tag called P. If I want to design a link, then I should use a tag called A. If I want to create a text box, then I should use a tag called input. So all these tags are predefined. In XML, there is no necessity that you should use only the predefined tag. Even you can create a tag called Babu. Any kind of tag you can create in XML. Okay, HTML we cannot create any customized tag. Okay, in XML we can able to create a customizable tags. Okay, that is one advantage. Second one is, okay, see how we are passing the test data for our automation. As of now, as per the traditional way, we are passing from the Excel sheet, correct? But in some of the office, they don't have a Microsoft Excel. Okay, so in that case, what we can do is, instead of depending on the Excel file, we can also pass the data through a XML, which will quickly load it and get into the automation script. Got it? So we can also pass the test data from the XML. So in SOAP way, as you said, Pooja, you could able to parameterize the data, right? You can pass the test data, you can pass the SOAP request through XML, right? The same way we can also
Yeah.
provide the same way we can provide the test case and the test data for your automation script through XML also. That is the purpose of for us to use a XML. Got it? In the same way, while we are learning API service, that is also part of our syllabus. Okay, for that also we are going to use a XML to create a SOAP request, and also we are going to use another file called JSON. That I'll come later because I'm not planning to go technically now itself because I want everyone to make understand everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is XML. Got it, guys? Now you know what is HTML and what is XML. Yeah. The next concept is Ant, Maven, Gradle. Why I put these components together? Because these are meant for the same purpose. And Maven is the advanced version of Ant, and Gradle is the advanced version of Maven. So I'm giving the basic components as well as the advanced, which is being used in the current IT industry for automation. Okay, what does this component means? These are the These are the components which is being used for build integration for Java. Okay, for example, okay, see, you are now we are a testers, right? Okay, once the development team completed the development activities, okay, what they are providing to us, they are providing only the build to us, right? Testing build to us, correct? They are deploying the testing build in our environment, correct? Yes, they are whatever the program they have developed, they are not giving the direct program to us. What they are providing the build only, correct? That build they are deploying into a testing environment. Then once they deploy that build into the testing environment, we could able to get all the developed activities in the test environment, correct? Agree? Yes. So how they are
Agreed.
building? So how the build activity is there, right? How what they are doing in the build activities, right? So first what they are doing is first they are developing the source. You should know that concept also. What is happening inside? Okay, because they are simply giving the build, but they are not saying what is happening inside. Okay, first what they will do is first they will develop the source. Okay, in multiple Java classes, in multiple files. Let's say I'm not going to put up Java files. I just put multiple files. Okay. Then what they need to do is they will compile. This is the second activity. This is the build life cycle, we can say. Okay, we can say this is a build life cycle is happening for each and every developer. Why we are seeing this? Because we are also developing the automation code. We also want this build life cycle. Okay, so what we need to do is once we develop the code, we need to do a compile. Okay, then once we compile, then what we need to do is we need to build it. Build it means like once we have developed the programs in multiple files, we need to build everything together. Okay, then only we can do a deploy. Okay, so it means we'll develop a source file, we'll do a compilation, and we'll do a build which will integrate all the multiple files. Then we can provide that deploy in any of the environment so that our automation build triggers. Okay, so this is the one build life cycle. To implement this build life cycle, we need a particular tool. We cannot do this build life cycle manually. To perform this build life cycle only, we are going for an Ant or a Maven or a Gradle. Maven is an advanced version of Ant. Okay, Gradle is the advanced version of Maven. You got it, guys? To perform a build life cycle, we are going to use this build integration tools. Clear?
Yes.
Clear, guys? So that is the reason I am. So why I am using Ant Maven? Because you should know from the basic. Okay, you should not come to Gradle. First, you should know what is happening in the Ant. Then what the difference between Ant and Maven? Why we are using Maven? Then you should know what is the advantage of using Gradle and what is the difference between Gradle and Maven. Only then you could able to come from the basic to the advanced cycle. Got it? Clear? Then
Yes.
JDBC. Any idea about JDBC?
It is a database connector,
Correct.
JDBC.
Correct. So it means Java with database connectivity. That is
Hmm.
JDBC. See, in real time, okay, even though if you are doing the manual testing also, you will do both front end testing as well as the back end testing, right? So whatever the data that we are seeing in the front end, we will check the same has been reflected in the DB also, or whatever the data reflected in the DB, we will check the same has been reflected in the front end also, vice versa. Okay. So in automation testing also, we need to cover both the front end testing and back end testing. But if you use a Selenium, it won't cover the back end testing. It will cover only the front end test cases. So in order to achieve the back end testing, okay, we are going to use a JDBC. It is a separate API, okay, in Java. Okay, it is a part of Java component which will trigger the SQL query to the database and it will get the response and it will provide the response through a Java programming. You got it? So this is the reason we are going for a JDBC. Clear, guys?
Okay.
Clear? Okay.
Yes.
Otherwise, if we are not using JDBC, then we cannot able to perform a backend validation. Clear?
Okay.
Then, so we are told about Maven. Okay. Then Jenkins. Any idea about Jenkins? No, it is the trending
Yeah,
concept. It is the,
scheduler.
yeah.
Yes.
It's not one.
CI server.
Yeah,
CI
yeah.
server.
Okay. Okay. Now you guys have said some point where you are working. Now I'm going to say some points which can be understandable by everyone. Okay. Actually, it's a trending tool. Jenkins is a trending component. Okay. In every industry. Okay. Now, in real-time industry, there will be a development environment and there will be a separate execution environment. In real time, I'm saying development environment is nothing but the place where we are going to develop your program. It means, let's say you can take Eclipse. Everybody, at least some people are aware about Eclipse, right? Where we can develop our programs. Okay. So we can use any of the IDE to develop a program. Okay, any of the development environment like Eclipse, even a Notepad is also a development environment where you can develop some program. Correct. So you choose any of the IDEs like Notepad, Eclipse, or IntelliJ, which is advanced concept, to develop your program. But you should not use the development environment for execution. It means that, for example, if you develop a Java program in the Eclipse, you should not use the Eclipse to run the Java program. It should be only for a development environment only. Okay. So for executing all your program which you are developed, okay, then there is a separate execution environment which is our Jenkins, which can be done through a Jenkins. Okay, so Jenkins is going to be our execution environment where we can trigger our automation testing. It's not only for automation testing, it's also part for development activities. But in our case, it has been used for automation testing where we can trigger our automation whenever we require, whenever we can do a scheduling. Okay, whenever we require, we can manually trigger the execution, or when sometimes if I want to trigger the build at midnight, automatically we can schedule some time and we can trigger the execution. We can generate the report through Jenkins. So all this execution activity can be considered in the Jenkins. So we are also going to use the Jenkins as a execution environment. Got it, guys? So I think this point
Yep.
can be understandable by everyone.
Yes.
Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So this is why we are going to see on the Jenkins. Okay. Now, if I say in pre-Selenium, I have told about Java, JavaScript, JUnit, TestNG, HTML, XML, and Maven, locators, Jenkins, current. So everything I have covered, right? I have touched up with all the points. I'm saying what is the purpose of using the technology in our automation testing. I have completely correlated why we need this technology for our automation testing. Correct? Yes. So this is the reason we are going for a pre-Selenium before going to a Selenium. You got it, guys? So first I will take these components only before navigating into the Selenium component. So in this level, once you completed this pre-Selenium technologies, then for sure you'll be very good in writing the programming as well as the logical things. Okay, so that which will be completely required when you go for a automation. Okay, so far any doubt, guys, on
No.
pre-Selenium? So justified, did I justify all the technologies which I mentioned in the pre-Selenium?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji.
Good. Okay. Now, so in this stage, as I said, you very well know how to build the bus. Now, what is the next stage? To drive the bus, correct? For this only, we are going to use a Selenium. Okay. Okay, once you know how to build the bus, then you are going to learn how to drive the bus. For this purpose only, we can able to use a Selenium. And now you are very well clear about what is Selenium, like what Selenium can do, what Selenium cannot do, and how we are going to achieve the activities which cannot be done by Selenium. Now you clearly know all these things, right? As I said, okay, it is going to automate only the web browser, and Selenium has 4 components. Okay, Selenium IDE, Grid, Selenium IDE, RC, WebDriver, and Grid. These are the 4 components available in Selenium. Okay, so Selenium IDE is nothing but record and playback tool. Like as per like no, for every automation tool, we'll be having the record and playback option, right? Where user can choose a recording option, and whatever the activities that can be performed by user on the browser or window based application, that can be recorded and converted into a corresponding natural programming script. The same way, Selenium also has a record and playback tool, which is nothing but a Selenium IDE, which can be usable in any of your Chrome browser or a Firefox browser. You can work there in the Selenium IDE also. You can able to develop the new script, but still there is a recording option also available, using which you can record the activities, and you can see how the script has been developed by Selenium. That is a Selenium IDE. And WebDriver is the one using which we are going to perform a complete end-to-end automation. End-to-end automation means we are going to automate a complete scenarios on the web browser by using a WebDriver. Okay, the WebDriver is a trending tool. Okay, because RC is also a same kind of WebDriver tool. RC is also looks same like a WebDriver, but it is not. RC is not available now. Only if it is a Selenium today, it's going to be a WebDriver. Using WebDriver only, we are going to automate our web browser applications. Okay, but still I will take RC also. You no need to worry on that. Okay, then if you take a grid, okay, so grid is used for a parallel execution, because let's say I have 1,000 test cases. Okay, I need to execute these 1,000 test cases in 4 different browser. Means if you use only WebDriver, it will execute one by one. Like first it will cover all the test cases in the Chrome browser, then it will cover all the test cases in the IE browser, then it will cover Firefox browser, like that. But the same WebDriver, if you incorporate with the grid, means then it will split the test cases parallelly across multiple browsers, and the execution is triggered parallelly, so that you could able to save more execution time on this by using a Selenium grid by splitting the test cases parallelly. Got it, guys?
Yes.
Any doubts on this Selenium? See, anyways, we are going to see in depth as a high level. Okay, what are the components available in Selenium? So I said Selenium IDE, RC, WebDriver, and Grid. Grid is for a parallel execution. WebDriver is to automate an end-to-end web browser application. RC is a component which looks like the same as a WebDriver, but it is currently deprecated. And IDE is a record and playback tool, using which we can capture the activities through recording, and we can see how the scripts are designed by Selenium. Got it? Any doubt in this?
No.
No.
Clear? So these are the components that we are going to see as part of Selenium. Clear? Any doubt from anyone? Okay. The next one is, okay, we are going to see Cucumber. As I said, okay, Cucumber is going to be one of the testing template, where you can able to get all the components relevant to the testing. Where in the Cucumber you can define your scenarios. Okay, you can automate the corresponding script based on your scenarios. Then Cucumber will support to generate the report. So completely, whatever the component that is required for a testing, all these components can be provided by Cucumber in very advanced way. Okay, so comparing to JMD test engine, Cucumber is the most user-friendly framework which is used for end-to-end automation. Got it? So that is in recent trend. Okay, all the industries are using Cucumber only. Even though if you provide a Cucumber in your profile, then you will get a more calls, because Cucumber is a trending automation framework which is being currently used in many of the automation in IT industry for automation. Got it? Clear, guys? Any doubts till
No.
this?
No.
Good.
No.
Good. Then Vinium. See, I told right, Selenium will support only to automate a web browser. Okay. Sometimes there might be a chance that you inside your web application there might be a chance to integrate that of your window-based application also. Sometimes like for example, okay, if you want to download anything, it will ask open with. Correct? Then if you select open with, then it will take you to the your desktop based application. Correct? So that time to automate those kind of window based activities, okay, your Selenium will not support for that. In this case, if you want to automate those kind of activities, you can have a one more plugin. There is one more plugin called Vinium. Vinium is one of the plugin inside the Selenium, okay, to automate the window based application. That is what the name itself, it's a Vinium. Okay, if you add this Vinium along with the Selenium jar files, then wherever there is a necessity to automate the window based application like calculator, if you want to open the notepad, if you want to write something in the notepad, so based on the Vinium you can able to interact with the window based application as well. Got it, guys?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so sometimes like whenever you want to interact with a window based application apart from the web browser, then you can make use of this Vinium. Okay, if you don't use a Vinium, if you use only Selenium, then you cannot be able to interact with the window based applications. Additionally, if you use a Vinium, then you can able to interact with the window based applications. Clear? Okay, then Silvernium. Okay, again Silvernium is one of the plugin integrated with the Selenium. The purpose of using Silvernium is, suppose, okay, in my application there is some flash content, okay, there is some video players integrated in my application, because every content we cannot present in the textable way in the application, right? Some content we can also present through some flash player. Okay, so if we have any kind of flash application inside your application, to automate that we cannot directly automate by using a Selenium. Okay, for that you can add Silvernium plugin additionally, so that you can able to automate that flash based application as well. So our entire target is I need to automate end-to-end application. If Selenium is not support for end-to-end automation, then you can add the additional components like Vinium or Silvernium to support for that other application activities. That is the ultimate idea here. Got it? Clear, guys, till now?
Yes.
Okay, then API automation. API means application programming interface, we can say. Like nowadays, right, most of the front end, okay, interaction is being reduced. Like for example, okay, earlier days and all, okay, if you want to do any registration in the application, you could able to see hundreds of fields available. You need to enter everything in the front end, then you need to submit. Nowadays, instead of having that front end application, they are making it as a service. Okay, as we discussed in the XML, okay, the service means it can be a SOAP kind of service, or it can be a REST kind of service. It can be a SOAP protocol, or it can be a REST protocol. Okay, SOAP protocols can support for XML data, and REST protocols can support for JSON data. Both are service only. Okay, so instead of registering through a front-end application, we can build one XML file or JSON file, and we can pass those registration parameters in the XML or JSON file, and if we trigger that service, it will automatically ensure that the registration is completed. So everything will happen on the backend. For that purpose only we are using a API automation, and that is also being trend in all the industry, instead of using the front end. Because if you say front end, then I need to go for UI alignment, functionality and all. Here there is no that problem. Directly you can trigger that service, and you can ensure that functionality is covered at the back end. For that purpose only we are going for an API automation. That also being covered here. You got it? So these are the components I will cover as part of Selenium. Once you learn this Selenium, as part of pre-Selenium, you have learned completely about the programming languages. Okay, you know how to build the bus. In the Selenium, you know how to drive the bus. You got it, guys? In pre-Selenium and Selenium, clear?
Yes.
Yes.
So Is it informative so far? Whatever the technology I'm specifying, is it informative for you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you know how to drive the bus. Now you know how to build the bus through pre-Selenium. Now you know how to drive the bus through Selenium. The next concept is we are going to take a license. Why we are going for license? Can anyone say? You know already to drive the bus, but still why we are going for a license?
Without license, we cannot drive the bus. We require the driving license.
That is fine. But what is the actual concept behind inside the license? That is, as per the rules, you cannot drive without license. But what is the actual concept that is behind on getting the license? To check where you know how to
We
drive the
can
bus,
go where the
to check whether you are driving the bus properly. Am I correct? It is not like if you know to drive the bus and you can drive like anything, correct? You should know where should start and where should end. So those kind of concept will come under the post selenium. Okay, even though if you know the programming language and you know the automation tools very well, you should know properly. Sometimes like if you are putting in your profile, if you are projecting yourself as a guys, can you put in mute please? Okay, so if you're like you already have a 6 years of experience manual testing, and after learning this course, if you are going to project yourself as a 6 years of experience in automation testing, then you should able to work as an individual person without any dependency. Okay, you should able to work for any task. So in that case, you should know where to start and where to end, how to plan for automation, how to build the framework, how to how to automate all the script and how to trigger the script. Everything end to end you should know. For that purpose only, we are going for a post Selenium, and I'm going to cover the end to end automation in 5 different way. In one of the ways, a BDD framework, hybrid framework, data driven framework, POM, instant automation. From the basic to higher level, what is the expectation of the current industry, I'm going to cover this 5 framework which will explain where to start and where to end in the automation. It will explain completely about the end-to-end automation. You got it? So even though in Selenium you learn the automation script and in pre-Selenium you learn the programming knowledge, you should know like where to start and where to end properly. Okay, if you are going to start your automation individually without any dependency, without any support, then you should know how to process the end-to-end automation. Okay, based on your experience. So in this frameworks you could able to get that knowledge. So I'm not going to cover only one framework, I'm going to cover 5 different frameworks. One is the data driven framework, which is a traditional framework, which is a basics of all the other framework, then hybrid, then okay BDD, then POM, then instant automation. Got it guys? So I'm going to cover 5 different, you can say these are 5 different live projects in the post Selenium. Clear?
Yeah, hi Babu. Here I have doubt. Like everything will be practical, right?
Yeah, from the scratch. I'm not going to take any framework which is already available. You are going to develop from the scratch. Each and every framework from component by component. So why in interview also you can say, I do have knowledge on building 5 framework from the scratch. That much of knowledge you'll be getting here.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other doubts from anyone?
Are you going to give the assignments after ending each session?
Yeah. Actually, initially it won't be for at least 3 to 4 classes because you learn in the classes. After
Okay.
4 to 5 classes, I'll start giving the assignment. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But from the day one, you'll be a programmer. From tomorrow, you'll be a programmer. You are not a tester.
Okay.
Okay. Then comes to JDBC, which I already explained, right? Okay, then Sikuli. Sikuli means, see, sometimes there might be a chance in our application. Okay, the web application object will be on the based on the image. Correct. There might be some graph will be available in your application. There's some dashboard graph. Okay, where you need to know the data in that graph. Okay, they mentioned some data. Okay, you need to retrieve that data and store that data in your automation script. Okay, so you need to validate that images as well. Okay, So it is images that the normal text and the image text is have some difference. Okay, so because it's in normal text it's just a string text, but in the text which is available in the image it's going to be an optical character. So how to automate the images? But for sure you cannot able to automate that image by using a Selenium. For that purpose only we are going for a component called Sikuli. Sikuli automate a web object based on the image. It will retrieve the image and it will retrieve the character from the image, so that whenever you want to test the images, okay, then you can use a Sikuli along with a Selenium. If you think about only Selenium, it is possible only with web application. But if you want to automate a window based application, if you want to automate a Flash application, if you want to automate a image based application, then you should add these components additionally to the Selenium. Got it?
Yes.
Okay.
Clear? Then auto IT. Again, as I said for Vinium, right? What's the purpose of Vinium? Vinium is to automate a window-based application. Correct. So Vinium is one of the plugin inside the Selenium. Okay. But there is also another standalone tool called as Auto IT, using which you can able to automate your window-based application. It is not a part of Selenium. It is a separate standalone tool. Like you know UFT, right? Using UFT, you can able to automate a window-based application as well as the web-based application. The same way, UFT Auto IT is also a standalone tool using which you can able to automate a window-based application, and you can integrate that window-based automation script into a Selenium script. If you have Vinium already, you no need to use Auto IT. If you don't have Vinium, you can also use Auto IT to automate a window-based application. Got it? But the advantage of using Vinium is Selenium script and Vinium script will be look like same each other, but Auto IT script will be different on each other. So you need to learn Auto IT script different separately. You got it?
Yeah.
If you don't mind, can you explain auto IT once again?
Yeah, sure. See, suppose in our automation, I want to automate any window-based application. Like window-based application means like your OS application, we can say, whatever the application operates in your OS. Let's say Notepad. If I want to write anything in the Notepad in your automation, or if you want to automate a calculator, or if you want to open the WordPad, or if you want to open any window-based application. Okay, so for that case, you can use Auto IT. Okay, the same purpose which I explained for Vinium. Vinium also used to
Vinium.
automate. Yeah, Vinium also can be used to automate a window-based application. But the why we are going for Auto IT is Auto IT is a standalone tool. Okay, you could able to use Vinium only if you know Selenium. But even though without knowing Selenium, you can able to use Auto IT to automate a window-based application. Got it? The purpose is
Okay.
same. The purpose of both is same, but only if you know Selenium, you can able to use a Vinium. But for Auto IT, even though if you don't know anything about Selenium, still if you want to automate a window-based application, you can use Auto IT as a standalone tool.
Okay, so it's clear.
Clear? Then, yeah. So any doubts so far for everyone? Anyone? Okay. The next is repository. I think most of them have heard about this repository. Any idea?
Is it like storing the?
Yes.
Developing code shared and integrated in the on the daily basis.
Yeah. See, today if you are working something, you are either you are developing some manual test cases, or you are working on the automation script, or if you are working on the JavaScript, anything you can work. Okay, whatever the work you are doing on currently, that work source will be under your local machine, correct? So storing that source files in your local machine is not as safe, because there might be a chance that anytime your machine can get into crash, correct? So that the what is the okay disciplinary activity, we can say this is a disciplinary activity. Like whenever you develop something, okay, at the end of the day or end of the work you have completed, you should make sure that all your worked activity, like it can be a test case or it can be a program files, anything has to committed into the centralized repository at the end of the day. So that even though if you commit all the source into the centralized repository, it is a centralized server. Okay, even though today if your machine got crashed, you no need to worry. Tomorrow you can get the original source which you already committed in the centralized server. You can get retrieved from that and you can start using that. Okay, so that is the purpose of using repository. Okay, at the end of the day or at the end of the work you completed, you should make sure that you commit all your code into the centralized repository. Only then your work will get completed. Your work will not get completed until you store the data into the local machine. Got it, guys?
Yes.
Clear? Any doubts till now? Okay, now then continuous integration process. Okay, see, these are the development activities. Okay, but still why we are doing this is as part of, we are also going to be a part of development team now. Okay, because we are developing the script right through a program, so we also should know all this kind of process. So what is this continuous integration process is? Okay, I'll say one real-time process available in the all the current organization. Okay, like let's say you are going to automate any application. For that I'm going to say where you should start and where you should end. Okay, so first stage you should develop the program. Develop the program. You got it? This is the first stage. Second stage, you should build the program. Okay, first you are developing some program, then you should build the program. Then what you need to do is first one is development, okay, management. Second one is build management. Third one is repository management. What is mean by repository management? You should store all your source code into the repository. You got it? That is the stage, third stage. You got it? Guys, clear? Once you develop the program and you build the program, then all your source code will get stored into the repository. Then you should have a execution environment. Let's say we can have a Jenkins. Okay. So what this Jenkins will do is it will fetch the code from where it will fetch the code. It will we should design the process in such a way that Jenkins will fetch the code from the repository and it will start triggering the execution. Scheduling the, you can say as a scheduling the that's it. So this is one end continuous process. That is what we are saying as a continuous integration. It means that once you develop the program, then once you develop and build the program, you will store the data into the repository. Once you store the data into the repository, then automatically from that repository, Jenkins will fetch the program and it will trigger the execution. Then it will generate the report. This is the one end-to-end flow. This is nothing but a continuous integration. You got it, guys? So this is how you should follow this flow in our real-time execution. Okay, well, so whenever you are Jenkins going to trigger the execution, it will fetch the code from the repository. For repository, you will commit the code. You got it? So you will commit the code to the repository. From that, Jenkins will fetch the code and it will start triggering the execution and it will generate the report. So this is how, this is nothing but a continuous integration because it is integrating from one interface to another interface, right? So Jenkins will integrate with the repository and fetch the code. Repository will integrate it with your developer environment and fetch the code. So all this process integrating is nothing but a continuous integration. You got it, guys? So Purunji, now you got it?
Yes,
Got to know, right?
Yes, yes.
Very clear?
Okay.
Yeah.
The last part is DevOps. See, again, see, this continuous integration is also a part of DevOps only. DevOps is a holistic concept in which we have other components like continuous integration, continuous deployment, continuous delivery, continuous testing. All these components will come under the DevOps. It means that, see, in this process, I told, right, scheduling. Scheduling means like we can set some time, execute on this time in the Jenkins. So Jenkins will trigger the execution at the particular time. Okay, or you can also manually trigger the execution. Like whenever you want to do execution, you can manually trigger. But in DevOps, what you can do is you no need to schedule or you no need to manually trigger your script. Whenever that additional to this, okay, additional to this, whenever your dev team deploy their build, whenever you dev team deploy their build, okay, in the test environment, automatically your automation trigger will execute. It means your dev team itself will trigger your automation pack for execution. Okay, so your testing will come under the development operation, which you are saying as a DevOps. DevOps means development operation. So in the DevOps, we have three teams included in that. One is the development team, another was the testing team, another is the operation team. These three team activities together are DevOps. Okay, so whenever the development is completed and they are deployed, automatically they will trigger our automation pack. So you no need to wait until the deployment is happen. Automatically the deployment is done, then they will trigger your automation script so that you can go to your home for today and you can come and check the report on next day and see the report and you can analyze the pass and failure case. So this is the actual target state of automation. With this, we will wind up our course. You got it, guys? So I'm starting from the very basic to till the end. So this is how I have structured our course in this format. So once you complete this structure, now I think you got the confidence on know what are the things that you are going to study and why you are going to study and what you are going to achieve in this. This is going to be a target state of our automation, or this is what we are going to see in our automation. Got it, guys? Now we can stop recording and we can have a generic questions.